The music was loud. People laughed, glasses clinked, and my mother stood in the center of the room, glowing in her silver dress. It was her 60th birthday, and she made sure everyone knew it. The hall was filled with her friends, coworkers, and family, everyone who believed her stories. Then it happened. A small voice cut through the noise like a knife. "Mommy, that's the grandma from the pictures." The room froze. Heads turned. My mother's smile dropped. Her eyes locked on the little girl standing beside me, my daughter, Aster. I felt the air shift. Whispers started. My mother's hand trembled, her wine glass slipping and crashing to the floor. She stared at Aster like she had seen a ghost. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched. Because this was the moment I had waited for. The moment the truth would finally come out. The moment the lie she told for years would fall apart. But as her face turned pale and her knees buckled, I realized something. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about Aster. And I had to decide, was I ready for what would come next? Because this was only the beginning. I never planned to show up at her party, not really. But when the invitation came in the mail, I stared at it for days. It was cold, formal, no warmth, no apology, just family should be present. Family, that word meant something different to me now. I had a family, a real one, a husband who loved me, a daughter who made me feel whole. But my mother? She had never been there for me. Growing up, she was always gone. Business trips, meetings, awards. She said she had to work because my dad left when I was a baby. She said she had no choice, but I knew better. She chose her career over me. She missed birthdays, school plays, even my graduation. When she was home, she was cold, distant. Like I was a project she didn't want to finish. Still, I tried to make her proud. I tried to be perfect. But nothing was ever enough. And when I couldn't get pregnant during my first marriage, she found a new way to break me. "She's infertile," she told everyone. "It's so sad." She said it like it was a fact, like it was my fault. But now, standing in that hall with Aster, I was about to prove her wrong. I married Grant when I was 20. He was safe, smart, boring, but my mother liked him. That was enough for me back then. She said, "He's stable. He'll take care of you." I didn't love him. I barely knew how to love myself. Still, I tried. We moved into a quiet apartment. I cooked dinner every night. I smiled at his jokes. I even agreed when he said we should start trying for a baby. Month after month, nothing happened. I went to doctors, took tests, everything came back normal, but the baby never came. Grant grew distant, cold, like I was failing him. My mother didn't help. "She's always been fragile," she told my aunt. "Maybe she's just not meant to be a mother." I found out she was telling people I was infertile, that I was broken. I cried in the bathroom for hours. 2 years later, Grant left. He said he needed someone less complicated. My mother didn't comfort me. She just said, "I told you he wasn't the one." But I knew the truth. She had picked him, and now she was using my pain to make herself look like the victim. I promised myself I'd never let her choose for me again, but I was wrong. After Grant, I swore I'd stay single for a while, but my mother had other plans. She introduced me to Silas Dorn at a charity gala. He was tall, charming, and running for office. My mother said he was a man with a future. I didn't want to go on that first date, but she pushed. She said, "You're not getting any younger." So I went. Silas was polite. He asked about my work, my hobbies. He smiled a lot, but something felt off, like he was reading from a script. Still, I agreed to see him again. 3 months later, we were married. It was a beautiful wedding. My mother made sure of that. She invited everyone. She gave a speech about how proud she was. But behind closed doors, Silas was cold. He didn't want a partner. He wanted a trophy. We barely spoke. We never laughed. And when I didn't get pregnant again, he stopped touching me altogether. One night, I found an email from my mother to him. "She's not easy, but she'll make you look good." I felt sick. I packed a bag and left. When I told my mother, she said, "You're ruining everything." I said, "No, you already did." But I wasn't done falling yet. After Silas, I broke. I stopped answering calls. I quit my job. I stayed in bed for days. I felt like a failure, a woman who couldn't keep a marriage, a woman who couldn't have a child, and my mother made sure everyone knew it. "She needs help," she told people. "She's not well." She never asked how I was doing. She never came to see me. Instead, she sent me a list of therapists. I stared at that list for hours. Then I tore it up. I didn't need her help. I needed to get away. So I did. I sold everything I could. I packed what I had left into 2 suitcases, and I left the city. No goodbye, no forwarding address. I moved to a small town where no one knew my name. I got a job at a bookstore. I rented a tiny apartment. I started therapy on my own terms. For the first time, I could breathe. I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to be anyone but me. I thought I had escaped her, but one day I found a letter in my mailbox. No return address, just 5 words written in perfect cursive, "You can't hide forever." I didn't know what to do with the letter. It had no name, no return address, just those 5 words, "You can't hide forever." I stared at it for hours. My hands shook as I held it. Was it from her? Had she found me? I didn't tell anyone, not even Darren. I burned the letter in the sink, but the fear stayed. I started looking over my shoulder. I changed my route to work. I stopped posting online. I even thought about moving again. Then, one rainy afternoon, I met him. Darren walked into the bookstore, soaked and smiling. He asked for a book I had just finished reading. We talked for an hour, then 2. He came back the next day, and the next. He was kind, gentle. He didn't ask too many questions. He didn't try to fix me. He just listened. One day, I told him everything about my mother, the marriages, the lies. He didn't flinch. He just said, "You're not broken. You were just never given a chance to heal." I cried for the first time in months, and for the first time I felt safe. But I didn't know then that Darren had his own story, one that would change everything. Darren and I grew close fast. We had coffee dates, long walks, and quiet nights filled with laughter. He made me feel like I mattered, like I wasn't just someone's failure. He never pushed, never judged. One night, we sat on my couch watching an old movie. I asked him why he was still single. He hesitated. Then he said, "My sister used to work for your mom." I froze. "She was one of Evelyn's interns," he said. "Smart, talented, but your mom crushed her." He told me how his sister had looked up to Evelyn, how she worked day and night to impress her, how Evelyn promised her a promotion, then gave it to someone else, someone with better connections. "She quit, moved back home. She hasn't worked since," he said. "She still cries when your mom's name comes up." I didn't know what to say. I had always thought I was the only one she hurt, but I was wrong. Darren looked at me and said, "I knew who you were the first day I met you, but I wanted to know who you really were." I didn't know whether to be angry or grateful. Then he reached into his bag. "I have something to show you." He handed me a folder. "I wasn't sure if I should give this to you," he said, "but I think you deserve to know." Inside were papers, photos, notes. At the top was my mother's name. It was a file from a private investigator. Darren had hired him months ago after his sister's breakdown. He wanted to know more about Evelyn Ward. What he found shocked even him. There were sealed court documents, a medical report, a birth certificate with a name I didn't recognize, and a photo, a little girl with dark curls and wide eyes. She looked just like me, but the date on the back was from before I was born. I stared at it, my heart pounding. "What is this?" I asked. "I think your mom had another child," Darren said, "one she gave up, before you." I couldn't breathe. My mother had always said she raised me alone, that my father left, that I was her only child. But what if that wasn't true? What else had she lied about? I closed the folder and looked at Darren. "I need to know everything," he nodded. "There's more," he said, "but you're not going to like it." I braced myself because I knew he was right. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't stop thinking about that photo, that little girl, the date, the lies. I called the investigator. He confirmed it. Evelyn had a baby at 19, a girl. She gave her up for adoption and never spoke of it again. She built her career. Married my father, had me, but she never told anyone about the first child. I felt like my whole life had been a lie. I thought about confronting her, calling her, demanding answers, but I didn't want to hear more lies, so I focused on Darren. He was my anchor, my calm. One evening, we sat on the porch, watching the sunset. "I don't know who I am anymore," I said. "You're Marin," he said. "You're strong, you're kind, and you're not her." I believed him. A few weeks later, he took me to the lake. He got down on one knee. "I know you've been through hell," he said, "but I want to build something new with you. Will you marry me?" I said yes. We planned a small wedding, no guests, no drama. But on the morning of the ceremony, I felt a wave of nausea, and I knew something had changed. I stared at the test in my hand, 2 pink lines, pregnant. I sat on the bathroom floor, shaking. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After everything, after years of being told I couldn't have children, here I was, pregnant. I waited until dinner to tell Darren. He was quiet at first, then he smiled, a real wide smile that reached his eyes. "We're going to be parents," he said. I nodded, still in shock. We got married the next day, just the two of us and a kind old judge who cried when we said our vows. It was perfect. 9 months later, Aster was born. She was tiny, loud, and beautiful. She had my eyes and Darren's smile. I held her in my arms and knew I would do anything to protect her. I didn't tell my mother, not because I wanted revenge, but because I didn't want Evelyn's poison near my child. For 6 years, I kept Aster a secret. We built a life full of love and laughter, but secrets don't stay buried forever. One day, a letter arrived. It was from Evelyn, and it said just one thing: "Come home." I stared at the letter. It was cream-colored, thick, and smelled like her perfume. The handwriting was perfect, just like always. "Come home." No apology, no explanation, just those 2 words. I showed it to Darren. He frowned. "She wants something," he said. I nodded. I knew that too. But part of me was curious. Why now? Why after all these years? I didn't want to go. I didn't want to see her face or hear her voice. But I also didn't want Aster to grow up with questions. So I told Darren, "I'll go, but I'm taking Aster." He looked surprised. "Are you sure?" "No," I said. "But I need her to see the truth." We packed a small bag. I told Aster we were going on a trip. She was excited. She had never met her grandma. She had only seen pictures. We drove for hours. The city looked the same, but I felt different. We checked into a hotel near the party venue. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what would happen when Evelyn saw Aster. Would she deny everything? Would she pretend? Or would she finally break? Then Aster asked, "Will Grandma like me?" I didn't know how to answer. The morning of the party was bright and warm. Aster wore a yellow dress with tiny sunflowers. She twirled in front of the mirror, giggling. "Do I look like a princess?" she asked. "You look perfect," I said. Darren held my hand as we walked into the hall. It was decorated with gold balloons, white roses, and giant photos of Evelyn through the years. She was everywhere. People smiled and waved. Some recognized me. Others whispered. I kept my head high. Evelyn stood at the center, greeting guests. Her silver dress sparkled. Her smile was wide. She hadn't seen us yet. Aster tugged my hand. "Can I go look at the cake?" I nodded. Darren followed her. I stayed back, watching Evelyn. She laughed with her friends. She posed for pictures. She looked like a queen. Then she turned and saw me. Her smile faded. She stared. Then her eyes dropped to Aster. She blinked. Her hand trembled. I walked toward her. "Hello, Mother," I said. She didn't speak. She just stared at Aster. Then Aster looked up and said, "Mommy, that's the grandma from the pictures." The room went silent. Evelyn's glass slipped from her hand, and everything changed. The glass shattered on the floor. People gasped. Someone screamed. Evelyn swayed, her face pale, her eyes locked on Aster. She whispered, "That's not possible." I stepped closer. "It is." She looked at me, then back at Aster. You said you couldn't." "I never said that," I replied. "You did." Whispers spread through the crowd. Phones came out. People started filming. Evelyn stumbled back. Her friend grabbed her arm. "Are you okay?" someone asked. She didn't answer. Aster looked confused. "Did I do something wrong?" I knelt beside her. "No, baby, you did everything right." Evelyn turned and walked away, disappearing into a side room. I followed her. She stood by a mirror, breathing hard. "You lied to me," she said. "You made me look like a fool." "No," I said. "You did that yourself." She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you didn't deserve to know." She sat down, shaking. "I need to talk to you," she said. "Alone." I hesitated. Then I nodded, but I didn't know what she would say, and I wasn't sure I was ready to hear it. We sat in a quiet room behind the hall. Evelyn looked tired. Her makeup was smudged. Her hands trembled. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said. I laughed. "You told people I was infertile." "I thought you were," she said. "You couldn't have children." "You thought," I repeated, "but you didn't ask. You didn't care." She looked down. I was scared. Of what? Of being wrong. Of losing control. I stared at her. "You never had control." She wiped her eyes. "I wanted you to be strong. You wanted me to be perfect," I said, "so you could look good." She didn't deny it. "I had a daughter before you," she whispered. I froze. "She was born when I was 19. I gave her up. I never told anyone." I felt sick. "You lied to everyone," I said. I lied to myself, she replied. I stood up. I have a daughter now, and I won't let you hurt her. She grabbed my hand. Please, let me meet her. I pulled away. I'll think about it, I said. Then I walked out. But I knew this wasn't over, because the truth had only just begun. Outside, the party was still going. People whispered. Some stared. Others avoided me. Darren held Aster's hand. She looked worried. Is Grandma okay? She asked. She's just surprised, I said. We left early. I didn't want to stay. Back at the hotel, I sat on the bed thinking. Evelyn had admitted everything. The lies, the secrets, the child she gave up. But I still didn't trust her. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying her words. I lied to myself. What did that even mean? The next morning, I got a message. It was from a journalist. I saw the video, it said. I've been investigating Evelyn Ward for years. I think you should see what I found. I didn't reply right away, but curiosity won. We met at a cafe. He showed me documents, interviews, photos. Evelyn had built her career on stories. Some were true, others weren't. She's not who people think she is, he said. I nodded. I know. Then he handed me a photo. It was the same girl from Darren's folder. But this time, she was older, and she looked even more like me. She might be your sister, he said. I couldn't breathe, because everything was changing again. I stared at the photo. The girl looked like me, same eyes, same smile, but older, maybe 10 years older. She was adopted by a family in another state, the journalist said. We've been trying to track her down. I couldn't speak. Evelyn had a daughter before me. She gave her away. Then she had me and tried to control every part of my life. Why? The journalist leaned forward. We think she changed her name, started over, but there's more. He handed me another paper. It was a letter from Evelyn, dated years ago. I did what I had to do, it said. No one can ever know. I felt sick. I thanked him and left. Back at the hotel, Aster was drawing pictures. Darren looked up. Everything okay? I nodded, but I was lying. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that girl, my maybe sister. What if she was out there? What if she didn't know? And what if Evelyn had lied to her too? The next morning, I got a message. It was from an unknown number. I saw the video. I think we're related. I dropped my phone because the past wasn't just knocking. It had kicked the door wide open. I stared at the message. I think we're related. I showed it to Darren. He raised an eyebrow. Do you think it's her? I don't know, I said. But I have to find out. I messaged back. Who are you? The reply came fast. My name is Elise. I was adopted. I've been looking for my birth mother. I think it's Evelyn Ward. My heart pounded. I asked for proof. She sent a photo of herself. She looked just like the girl in the old picture, but older now. Her eyes were mine. Her smile was softer. I called her. Her voice shook. I saw the video. I recognized her. I've seen pictures. I've always wondered. We talked for hours. She told me about her life, her adoptive parents, her search for answers. I never knew I had a sister, she said. Neither did I replied. We agreed to meet. I didn't tell Evelyn. Not yet. The next day, Elise arrived at the hotel. She hugged me like we'd known each other forever. Aster peeked from behind the curtain. Who's that? She asked. I smiled. That's your aunt. But before I could say more, my phone rang. It was Evelyn, and she was crying. I answered the call. Evelyn's voice was shaky. I need to see you, please. I hesitated. Why? I made a mistake, she said. I need to fix it. I looked at Elise. She nodded. Okay, I said. Come to the hotel. An hour later, Evelyn arrived. She looked smaller, older, like the weight of her secrets had finally caught up to her. She walked in and froze. Elise stood by the window. Their eyes met. Evelyn's hand flew to her mouth. Elise? Elise nodded. Hi, Mom. Evelyn burst into tears. She crossed the room and hugged her. Elise stood stiff at first, then slowly hugged her back. I'm so sorry, Evelyn whispered. I was scared. I didn't know how to be a mother. You still don't, I said. She looked at me. I know, but I want to try. We sat down, talked for hours. Evelyn apologized. For everything. She asked to meet Aster again. Properly. I looked at Darren. He nodded. We agreed. The next day, we met at the park. Evelyn brought a small gift. Aster opened it and smiled. Thank you, Grandma, Evelyn cried. For a moment, it felt like healing, but then a black car pulled up, and a man stepped out. The man was tall, with gray hair and sharp eyes. Evelyn's face went pale. She stood up quickly. What are you doing here? He ignored her and looked at me. You must be Marin. I nodded slowly. Who are you? I'm Richard, he said. Your father. My heart stopped. You left, I said. You abandoned us. He shook his head. That's not true. Evelyn stepped between us. You don't get to do this. I have every right, he said. You kept her from me. I looked at Evelyn. Is that true? She didn't answer. Richard pulled out a folder. I tried to fight for custody. She lied in court, said I was dangerous. Evelyn turned away. I have the papers, he said. I never stopped looking. I didn't know what to believe. Everything I thought I knew was falling apart. Aster clung to my leg. Mommy? I picked her up. I need time, I told him. He nodded. I'll be here. That night, I sat with Darren and Elise. I don't know what's real anymore, I said. Elise took my hand. We'll figure it out. Together. But I had one more thing to do. I had to ask Evelyn the question I'd been avoiding. We met at a quiet cafe. Evelyn looked nervous. She stirred her tea but didn't drink it. I need to know the truth, I said. Did you lie to keep him away from me? She looked up. Her eyes were red. Yes, she whispered. I felt like I'd been punched. Why? I was scared, she said. He wanted to take you. I couldn't lose another child. You already lost me, I said. She nodded. I know. I sat back. You told everyone I was infertile. You ruined my name. I thought if I controlled the story, I could protect you from disappointment, from pain. You were protecting yourself, I said. She didn't argue. I'm sorry, she said. I know it's not enough. I didn't respond. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small box. I kept this, she said, from when you were born. Inside was a tiny bracelet. My name was engraved on it. I held you once, she said, and I promised I'd never let anyone hurt you. I stared at the bracelet. I broke that promise, she whispered. I stood up. You did. I walked away, but I didn't throw the bracelet away, because part of me still hoped, and I wasn't ready to give up. I held the bracelet in my hand for hours. It was small, delicate, and engraved with my name. A reminder that once Evelyn had wanted me, or maybe just wanted the idea of me. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Richard had shown me court papers. Evelyn had admitted her lies. Elise had found me. And Aster, my miracle, was caught in the middle. I needed clarity. So I called Richard. We met at a quiet park. He brought old photos, letters, proof. I tried to be in your life, he said, but Evelyn shut me out. I believed him. He showed me a photo of me as a baby. He was holding me, smiling. I loved you, he said. I still do. I cried. We talked for hours. He asked to meet Aster. I said yes. The next day they met. Aster liked him instantly. He gave her a book and asked her questions. She giggled and called him Grandpa. Evelyn watched from a distance. She didn't speak, but I saw something in her eyes. Regret. That night, I sat with Darren, Elise, and Aster. We were a strange family, but we were real, and for the first time, I felt whole. We stayed in the city for a few more days. Elise and I spent time catching up. We shared stories, laughed, cried. It felt like we had known each other forever. Aster loved her. She called her Auntie Lissy and followed her everywhere. Darren was quiet but happy. He said, "This is what healing looks like." Evelyn didn't say much. She kept her distance. But she showed up every day. She brought small gifts, asked gentle questions. She was trying. One afternoon, she asked to speak to me alone. We sat on a bench under a tree. I know I can't fix everything, she said, but I want to be better. I nodded. It's not about fixing, it's about showing up. She looked at me. Can I be part of Aster's life? I didn't answer right away. Then I said, on my terms. She agreed. We set boundaries, rules. Slowly, carefully, we began again. Aster didn't know the full story yet, but one day she would. And when she asked, I'd tell her everything, because the truth mattered, even when it hurt, especially then. Before we left, I wrote a letter. It was for Aster. I didn't plan to give it to her now. She was too young. But one day she'd need it. In the letter, I told her everything. About Evelyn, about the lies, about the pain. But I also told her about love, about Darren, about Elise, about Richard, about how she healed me. You were the proof I needed, I wrote. The light in my darkest days. I sealed the letter and hid it in a box under my bed. Then I packed our bags. We said goodbye to Elise and Richard, promised to visit soon. Evelyn hugged Aster gently. Be good, she said. Aster smiled. I'm always good. We drove home. The house felt warm, familiar. Aster ran to her room, laughing. Darren hugged me. You did it, he said. No, I replied. We did. That night I watched Aster sleep. Her tiny hand curled around her stuffed bear. I whispered, You're everything. And I meant it. Weeks passed. Life returned to normal. Aster went to school. Darren worked. I wrote in my journal every night. Evelyn called once a week. She didn't push, she listened. Elise sent photos. Richard mailed books. We were building something new. One day, Aster came home with a drawing. It was of our family. Me, Darren, Aster, Elise, Richard, and Evelyn. She had drawn us all holding hands. I stared at it, tears in my eyes. "Do you like it?" she asked. "I love it," I said. She smiled. "I want everyone to be happy." I hugged her tight. That night, I took out the letter I had written. I added one more line. "You taught me that love doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be real." Then I put it back, because one day she'd read it, and she'd understand. The garden was quiet. Aster played with her toys. Darren read a book. I sat under the tree, watching them. Evelyn arrived with lemonade. She sat beside me. "I'm trying," she said. "I know," I replied. We didn't talk much, but it was enough. Aster ran over. "Can we all have lunch together?" I looked at Darren. He nodded. "Sure," I said. We set the table outside, ate sandwiches, laughed. It wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful. Later, I watched Aster chase butterflies. She turned and waved. "I love you, Mommy." "I love you too," I said, and I meant it, because after everything, the lies, the pain, the silence, I had found something stronger. Truth, family, love. And I would never let it go.